There comes a moment in every man's life when something inside him whispers that things are not the same. It's not drama, not imagination, not insecurity. It's instinct. A quiet shift in her behavior begins telling you the truth she isn't ready to say. When a woman emotionally drifts toward another man, her actions change long before her words ever do. Most men ignore the early signs because they hope things will return to normal. But ignoring your instincts only stretches the pain. The truth is simple. When a woman's intimacy begins moving elsewhere, her patterns reveal everything. Not in loud ways, but in subtle cracks that slowly become impossible to overlook. The first sign is the coldness that enters the relationship almost overnight. She isn't rude, but she isn't warm either. Just neutral, detached, distant. The natural softness in her tone fades, replaced with a measured politeness that feels unfamiliar. This shift is rarely accidental. It happens when her emotional focus is no longer centered on you. You'll notice her reactions becoming shorter. What once sparked long conversations now gets a nod or a single-word response. It feels like she's talking to you because she has to, not because she wants to. That difference speaks louder than any confession. The second hidden sign is her changing attention rhythm. She used to reply quickly, even during busy days, because connection mattered to her. Now she takes long pauses, sends delayed messages, or claims she forgot to respond. But strangely, her phone activity doesn't match her unavailability. That gap reveals everything. When a woman's interest shifts to someone else, her phone becomes a private world she doesn't invite you into. She tilts the screen away, turns on silent mode more often, or sets new passwords without explanation. It's not the phone itself, it's the secrecy wrapped around it. Secrecy always grows where new emotional energy is being invested. The third sign is in her eyes. They tell a story she can't hide. A woman deeply connected to you will look at you with openness and familiarity. But when she's emotionally tied to another man, her gaze changes. There's hesitation, avoidance, or a heaviness she doesn't know how to manage. She looks away quickly, as if eye contact exposes too much. She doesn't hold your gaze with the same warmth or connection. It feels like she's present in body, but her attention is somewhere else entirely. That shift is subtle, but once you notice it, you cannot unsee it. The fourth sign comes through her tone and communication style. Where conversations once flowed easily, they now feel rigid or forced. She no longer asks about your day, your plans, or your feelings. The curiosity fades. She talks to you like someone going through routine motions, not someone emotionally invested. Even small disagreements feel different. She becomes defensive over things that never bothered her before. It's as if she's holding on to unspoken tension, and the smallest issues trigger irritation. This emotional volatility is often a reflection of inner conflict she hasn't shared. The fifth sign is overcorrection, something people overlook. Not all women become distant. Some suddenly become overly sweet, unusually affectionate, or excessively helpful. It's an attempt to cover the internal shift they feel and mask the emotional imbalance they're experiencing. But this sudden warmth feels unnatural, like a performance rather than genuine affection. Her compliments sound rehearsed, her kindness feels rushed, and her touch lacks depth. It's the kind of affection that tries to convince you everything is fine, but you can sense the hollow space behind it, a space she's trying not to reveal. Forced sweetness often hides the truth more than silence ever could. The sixth sign appears in her daily routines. She starts forming new habits that don't involve you. New workouts, new friend groups, new projects, new errands that never existed before. Independence is healthy, but secrecy wrapped around new routines is not. She becomes vague when explaining where she's been. Her stories have missing pieces, unclear timelines, or details she mixes up. She offers surface-level explanations but gets uncomfortable when you ask for clarity. Confusion in her stories is not a coincidence. It's a signal of divided emotional investment. Then comes the seventh sign, the emotional distance that feels like a wall. She stops sharing her frustrations, dreams, fears, or daily thoughts with you. The emotional partnership that once held you together dissolves quietly. She becomes self-contained, closed off. and unreachable in ways that didn't exist before. You feel like you're talking to someone wearing a polite mask. Her laughter changes. Her silence feels heavier. Her presence feels like something you have to earn instead of something naturally given. When a woman's heart shifts, her energy shifts with it. She stops confiding in you because she started confiding in someone else. Not necessarily physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That distance is the loudest warning sign a man can ever receive. The eighth sign, the one men underestimate, is the stillness. It's not emotional distance or irritation. It's the absence of everything. No excitement, no curiosity, no investment, no spark. She becomes quiet in a way that feels permanent. She no longer gets jealous. She no longer reacts when you pull back. She no longer asks where you're going, what you're doing, or how you feel. Her detachment is complete. And that's when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. A woman who has shifted her intimacy doesn't always become obvious. She fades gradually, the way a light dims before it shuts off. You notice it in her silence, her lack of effort, her disappearing warmth. You notice it in the small places before the big places. This doesn't mean you confront her with anger or chase explanations you may never receive. Strength isn't about forcing answers. Strength is about trusting what your spirit already knows. When a man remains calm, observant, and grounded, the truth always reveals itself. It doesn't need pressure. It just needs time. Your role is not to beg for her attention or fight for space in her heart that she has already reassigned. Your role is to protect your peace and step forward with clarity. Because a man who trusts his intuition stands in a position of power, not desperation. He listens to the signs, responds with composure, and chooses himself. If these signs feel familiar, breathe. You are not alone. This is not the end of your worth, your value, or your future. It's simply a moment of clarity that guides you toward a stronger version of yourself. A version that sees truth clearly and acts from strength, not fear. And here's the final truth. When a woman's energy shifts away from you, nothing you say can pull her back. But when a man's energy shifts back into himself, he rises. He stops chasing, stops questioning, and stops doubting his intuition. He becomes centered, he becomes focused, he becomes untouchable. And in that strength, he becomes the man he was always meant to be.